MELD. We are a residential and commercial interior design firm who also focuses on product. We have a dimensional tile line as well as lighting, furniture, and accessories. MELD is me and Brian at the heart and soul. We are passionate about what we do, and we love sharing our passion for design with others. I think it's a very personal thing to be asked to help somebody with their home or their business, as it is a representation of who they are and where they like to gather with their friends and family. And Brian and I love helping to create a space that they didn't know was even possible.
For me, MELD is just getting out there in our community, in our state, around the country, and just making spaces more exciting. Just doing something a little bit different, a little bit unexpected, and having fun with it.
I've always been a designer since I was little. I don't think there's ever been any one thing that drew me to be a designer. I've just always had it in me. I was always rearranging my room and collecting art from galleries, little postcards, and hanging them on my wall in a gallery arrangement. And while other kids were getting, toys for Christmas, I was getting bedspreads and curtains. And so I was always interested in that creativity and that expression. What was amazing was that my high school actually had an Academy of an Interior Design program. And so I was able to learn the fundamentals of design. I had a really amazing mentor, a teacher that, helped me give my creative voice some grounding and some footing in just the basics of design and not necessarily the rules, but stoked my excitement and taught me that it could be more than just a hobby, more than just me, designing and rearranging my room. And she took us on trips to showrooms. So it was beyond, even just a high school course in terms of exposure to design. It was definitely about how you could make design a career. We got to design a model home. So it was really fun to be able to see that world opened up to me from a professional standpoint. And so at that point, it was just obvious that I would go to college and study design. It was just kind of a foregone conclusion. I never even thought about it. It was just what I was going to do. So got my degree in college, and actually what was interesting was that before college, actually between high school and college, my high school teacher set me up with an internship. So I even had a design internship before college. So I was able to, again, reinforce that, design life, that design profession as something that I wanted to do.
What drew me to design was when I bought my first home. I was 21 and loved the architecture of the home, but just wanted to kind of go a little fun on the inside. So I decided to, go to thrift stores. And once that started happening, it just kind of snowballed into just having so much fun with it. It really piqued my interest in the design world. And I worked at Nordstrom at the time and was doing sales, and that kind of transformed. And I started doing visual merchandising for them. And then the design really started coming, and forward a few years later to when we met Andrea, when we met at a furniture store, and it just exploded. Yeah, I met Andrea at a furniture store, both working together, and quickly became friends, and quickly became just knowing that we had the same design aesthetic. We kind of pushed each other, and we just had such an amazing time with design. Just the excitement, it was just powerful. And it's weird because someone finally got me, and I like unique things and different things and not the norm at the time. So someone else that actually appreciated what I appreciated was pretty cool. Andrea and I were friends first, then became business partners through the years because of the passion we had for design. It was a true passion. Anything to do with design, there was just so much about our lives that involved design. So it was inevitable that we would end up doing a business together.
We met in 2004, I think it was. It goes so far back. We've just been so, such good friends and best friends for so long that it's hard to remember the year. But we met, I believe, in 2004 at a design showroom that we both worked at. And it was clear right off the bat that we had the same sensibilities in terms of fashion and music and also design, modern design. And we're inspired by a lot of the same things: brutalist architecture, mid-century modern architecture and design. So after having been friends for quite a few years and geeking out over the same things, we decided to start an interior design firm. We decided to start MELD and saw a lot of success there. And after some time, decided that a product line would make the most sense for us because we were not seeing some of the things we wanted to use in our spaces out in the market. And so creating furniture, lighting, and accessories was our first foray into that product market. And then decided that tile was where we wanted to grow the business. So when we were trying to come up with names for our business, that is like the toughest thing to do because everything's been done, everything's been used. What is going to mean something to us? We finally came to MELD because we have a lot of different aesthetics that inspire us. And so melding those together to create our spaces and our product line, we decided to be clever and make the E a 3 instead of a traditional E. We were also able to get a 4-letter URL out of it, which is kind of amazing. So it was a win-win.
As far as roles in the business, it's interesting. Andrea is the more face of the business, where I'm kind of more backside, but I call it silent but deadly. When we're together, we are very forceful in design, but she puts herself out there for the business and I'm doing all the back end work. So it's like a yin and yang, but it really works well together. We love having dogs in the office. Actually, dogs are one of my inspiration. They calm me down. I can be a little bit high strung. So having the dogs around really makes it such a wonderful workplace.
The way that Salt Lake City has influenced our design style has grown deeper inside of me as I've gotten older. We're a high desert. We're nestled right into the arms of our Wasatch Mountains. They're big, they're bold, they are architectural. They're brutalism, in nature's form. And the desert, when I was young, I took it for granted. And I think as I've gotten older, I've really grown an appreciation for the colors of the desert, the blues and greens and the sages and the yellows and golds and the grasses. And the people of Salt Lake and our creative community have really fostered the design community here. At one point, I was tempted to leave Salt Lake and felt like a bigger market would have been the better place to start my career and forge a new life, but decided that instead of going and being a smaller fish in a bigger pond somewhere else, I could stay here and make a larger imprint on the city and inject my design voice and our design voice into the city. And I think a lot of Salt Lakers have done just that, and our community has really blossomed. I'm really proud of Salt Lake and the community that we have here. Small business owners, creatives, artists. It's remarkable. And it's exciting to have designed businesses in several, places in the city that I can go and hang out with my friends that other people can hang out in that actually help define Salt Lake and what it is culturally. Brutalist architecture is a huge inspiration for us. The word brutalist comes from the French word béton brut, which means of concrete. I think concrete has informed the world of architecture in a way that has changed things more dramatically than other mediums. Architecture had been the same for the longest time. Columns, flying buttresses, the fundamentals of architecture and the way that it was engineered stayed stagnant, even though the details and the decoration changed over time. The basics of design and engineering, or the basics of architecture and engineering, hadn't changed much until the creation of concrete. And the turn of the century and the industrial movement allowed for concrete to be more used and experimented with. And at that point, engineering changed to be able to use concrete in a way that architecture had never seen before. So we're getting large cantilevers, and we're getting larger than life arches, and forms and shapes that were a lot cleaner than the decorative architectural movements previous to that. They're strong, they're bold, they're in some ways demonstrative, and I love the scale and the form of brutalist architecture. So concrete as a dimensional, moldable product really inspired us. We've been able to apply that and contextualize that in our tiles with ARTO brick, starting out with the molds from our PVC tiles and really creating a dimensional concrete tile that can be used on facades, exterior facades, inside on feature walls, and beyond. Concrete is just so versatile, and applying them to a tile in a smaller scale allows you to kind of start with something smaller and make it grand. I think what fuels my passion is the inspiration that I like to surround myself with, my friends and family, my joy of life. Travel is a huge inspiration for me. Just meeting people in different places, architecture, eating the food, just really soaking up life. I also think Brian is a huge inspiration, and we feed off of each other when we start brainstorming whether it's a space or a product. It just snowballs, and my passion, that was already, percolating, just kind of bubbles over. And that's exciting to be able to work with somebody who inspires me every day. I was recently in Spain. We did Madrid, Cordoba, Toledo, Granada, Barcelona. Barcelona, I feel like part of my heart lives there. It is incredible. The modernism, Gaudi's architecture is just insane. It's what a crazy mind, like a regurgitation from a crazy mind. I mean, I don't know, but the man didn't hold back. He didn't think about what might be conceived as weird or impractical or over embellished. He just went for it. His design is very free. It's unique. There's nothing like it. And the Sagrada Familia is one of those places. The Passion side of the Sagrada is insane. It's very brutalist and very deco. The artists that applied that side and made that side happen were very inspired by some of his previous architecture. He'd already passed by this point. And it's really interesting to see, Catholic iconography being applied in a very deco brutalist way. So some of the statues have very chiseled musculature, and the spine is chiseled out of the statue, and everything is very angular and dimensional, and it is just awe-inspiring. I probably took a million pictures. I wept at one point, which sounds so cheesy, but I was so overwhelmed by the form and being in a space that was so large and so different. I mean, it re-engineered columns and buttresses and supports in a way that had never been seen before. And so for me, when I'm designing product, I think about things that haven't been done. Our perspective as designers, we're not just making product that's pretty. We have the practicality behind it. We know how, we know how tile setting and masonry works. We know what kind of supports have to be, put in the walls. We know enough about our industry that we can design something that works better and more efficient and works at a certain price point. I feel like our perspective as designers make us even better product designers. My inspirations from travel, although they haven't resulted in a specific tile or a specific product, it got my mind thinking in different ways. There was a building, I believe it was the post office in Madrid, that had a very classic architectural facade. And then there was another facade, another part of the building that either had been added onto or refurbished, but they had taken these classic motifs and modernized them. All of a sudden, there's a medallion with a carving of Zeus or something of the like. And on the modern facade, they had done the same medallion, but in a very deco, brutalist, chiseled way. And so the scrolls of his hair were now very clean, and his nose was more angular. Instead of being more realistic, it was much more stylized. And so when designing product, it's all about thinking about how we can redefine what's either been done in a new, fresh way, or, having something inform the way that we make something to honor something in history. So as MELD was conceiving our product line, we really wanted to diversify our product line and, bring products to the market that were high quality for a really accessible price point. We feel like design should be accessible to all. It should not just be for the elite. So one of the things we wanted to create was a high impact item that anybody could put in their home, whether they had an apartment, a temporary space, or a permanent space. And so we thought of doing wall tiles. We found some recyclable PVC, and that was a way that people could apply them to their walls in just individual art pieces, or put do an entire feature wall in their space, and they could put it up with tile mastic, or they could put it up with 3M strips. But ultimately, what inspired those tiles was the brutalist architecture and the dimensional architecture that we so loved, from mostly 20th century design. We got our product line going and continued to evolve that. Our tiles sold really, really well. Our lighting did well, everything did well, but our PVC tiles were something that the market really responded to. And we always wanted to apply them to concrete. That was what we derived the PVC tiles from, but we just wanted to get our line launched and hadn't really gotten to that point until we met Armen at ARTO Brick.
We discovered ARTO through European Marble and Granite, our local distributor here. We've used it in so many of our designs, and we didn't even realize that we were looking and purchasing ARTO. So it was kind of natural when Armen came out that we met with him just because he was excited to meet us, and we were excited to meet him and just see what they have. And the talks came, and we actually decided that this could be kind of a cool partnership to get our product out there in a tile form. And so it's been a long journey, but it's been totally worth it. We love how the product turned out. We're really excited about it. It's just amazing to see our design, our ideas put out there that people can actually use. And we've used it in so many projects, home, commercial. It's kind of endless on where it can be used, and we're really happy with it.
In seeing what they were capable of doing in terms of concrete, it was just kind of a perfect match for us to be able to give them our molds from our, essentially our PVC tiles molds to ARTO Brick and have them cast them out of concrete. It's exactly what we envisioned these tiles to be from the beginning. I think, the PVC, of course, has its place because, again, somebody with a temporary space can get some high impact dimensional architectural style in their space. But with the concrete tile, we're able to create something much more architectural that'll stand the test of time, that can go into a space and feel like it's been there, feel like it already has innate history, ground the space in a way that gives it so much more by design and character. Armen's great. Just like me, he talks a lot, so we were kind of buds from the beginning. But we were both very passionate, equally passionate about what we do and what we have to offer. And so that was a fun match. We felt like, you know, the passion for what he does, the passion for what we do, the passion for what we do, it could come together and make something that, you know, is exciting for all of us to be a part of. And it was fun from somebody, you know, to get the excitement that we feel about our product. Armen was equally as excited about our tiles and the designs that we'd already come up with for our PVC tiles. And so it was fun to have somebody who's been in the industry for that long, somebody that we respected and whose product we respect, to be as excited about the product that we could create with ARTO.
We love working with ARTO because of the options they have. With our concrete tiles, there's so many different colors that you can use. We've used quite a few. Actually, in all of our different projects have been different colors. And as far as our ceramic is concerned, you can pretty much come up with any idea as far as colors what they offer, and they can mix and match in 2 colors. And that was actually fun for us to go through the process of deciding the color. We really appreciate that ARTO is kind of a small business minded. We're a small business, and it's just nice when someone else appreciates your design and wants to help you out, and when you can come to a conclusion on something and actually get it out there. It's just exciting and fun to be able to collaborate with someone actually in the country too. A lot of our product, as far as furniture and design, was out of the country. It's so refreshing to actually use someone that's made in the US. I think the key to MZLD's success is that it's a unique product, very design-driven, focused, and there's so much heart and passion put into it that it's inspiring, and there's so many ways to use our product that, you know, it just runs the gamut of what can be done with it. And I just love seeing it out and, you know, in work and in spaces.
The future of MZLD is ever evolving. I think we've always been tuned to opportunity, and we're excited about our tile. We're really excited about creating more designs with ARTO and taking that line in a deeper direction. We want to just continue to grow our circle of influence. We've done designs outside of Utah, but we want to continue to stretch our design reach. And, you know, our tiles are a great way to do that. You know, our design voice, you know, once applied, you know, in different places around the country, will bring our design voices, you know, into the rafters. And we're excited for ARTO to, you know, introduce the line to their distributors across the country. But I think MZLD has a lot to say about design, whether it's in our interior spaces or continuing our product line. We definitely want to be a global voice for design.